Hello, I'm Catherine McDougall. I'm Deputy Head at the Bewdley School, and welcome to our options presentation for 2022 options for Year 9 students. So the Year 9 students will be making their options choices this term in the autumn term, and then they will begin their GCSE or Key Stage 4 options in February 2022, carrying those subjects through until the end of Year 11. I hope you do find the information in this presentation helpful. Please do feel free to contact me should you need any more information. This slide shows the process for the options this year. Students in school have already had an assembly, they've already got their full options booklet, which really is the go-to guide for each of the subjects and the detailed information about the specification, the types of content and type of assessment that students will face in that subject area, so that they can really get to grips with whether it's going to suit them. So I'd encourage you to sit down with your son, daughter, and go through that booklet and really examine the subjects that they're thinking about taking. In school on Friday this week, what they'll also have is the opportunity to try 2 subjects. So 2 of the subjects that they're thinking, I think I might be interested in doing those, they'll actually have short taster lessons in those 2 subjects. So that gives them another opportunity to consider whether that suits them or not. Clearly, a critical point will be the parents' evening on the 30th of November, because for you that gives you a chance to ask the questions about, is this a good choice for them to take? Is it a subject that's going to suit them? And for them to get some feedback on how they're doing in all of their different subjects. The final choices for the options process need to be online by Friday the 3rd of December, and I'll say a little bit more about the process about how you put them online in a little while. Then what happens is, once the young people have made their decisions and they've all submitted them online, I then look at the choices that they've made, make sure everybody's met the criteria, and we begin interviewing the students to talk about their choices, anybody that we've got concerns about or where we feel we need a bit of intervention or support, and we do that. That stage, it might be that you're contacted as a parent to say, you know, we're discussing the options they've made and involve you in that process if there needs to be any significant changes. And then you'll be sent their option choices in January, so you'll get a sheet of paper confirming which options they've been given, and then in February they will begin their new courses immediately after the February half term. I'd like to start by talking through our core curriculum offer. All students will still follow English, Maths, Science and PE. So what that means is that all students will study English language and English literature, maths, and as a minimum the combined science. So the combined science course is still biology, chemistry and physics. It's just joined together into a 2 GCSE combined science course. And then all students will still have an element of core PE on their curriculum. Our curriculum structure at Key Stage. Beyond the core subjects, all students must choose at least one of the following subjects. That is history, geography, computer science, French or Spanish. Many students will choose to do more than one of these subjects, but everybody must choose at least one of them. Some of you may have heard of the English Baccalaureate, or EBAC as it's often referred. What this means is that students study a humanity and a modern language as part of their option choices. And it was introduced in the UK with the idea being that it would represent a broad and balanced academic curriculum. And for many of our students, it's absolutely appropriate that they would pick a language and a humanity. And I'm sure many parents will be aware that in lots of schools it isn't a choice, it's made compulsory. We don't make it compulsory to meet that requirement. To do a language and a humanity. However, we do encourage students
that if they're interested, if they're keen, if they're passionate, that absolutely they're the right choices. But what we're keen to do is to offer students the opportunity of studying the subjects that they enjoy, that they're interested in, and that they think will fit well with their future career plans.
Within the core science, students will all study either combined science or the triple award science. The triple award science will be for those students who are most able at science and in the top set. The determination of who is in the top set will flex and change a little bit through year 9, but by the start of year 10 we'll be able to confirm which students are following the triple award science pathway. The combined science still meets all of the requirements for biology, chemistry and physics. It's just that at the end of it you get a 2 GCSE equivalent in the combined science, whereas in the triple award pathway you will end up with a GCSE in biology, a GCSE in chemistry and a GCSE in physics. Lots of questions and people ask me about is, can they continue on to do A levels if they are doing the combined science? Absolutely, yes, they can, providing that they've done well in the combined science and that they're capable scientists and students that have worked hard and gaining good GCSE grades in those subjects in the combined science. Obviously, those students in the top set who are following the triple award science, some of them will want to do sciences at advanced level and beyond, and some won't. Some will want to follow other pathways, but they're capable of the triple award science at their GCSE stage.
In languages, we offer French and Spanish. All of the young people have tried both of these subjects, so they should have a good idea by now where their preferences lie and which one indeed they'd like to do at GCSE. As I've said already, we don't insist that students do a language, but we do encourage them to look at which language might be best for them. And for many students, doing a language is absolutely the right choice.
Okay, so this is the first of our lists of option subjects. So the first choice that all students need to make is which EBAC option they're going to take. We've already had the French and Spanish, and then we've also got history, geography or computer science. All students must pick at least one of those 5 subjects. History, geography and computer science they will have experienced lower down the school, as well as French and Spanish, so they have a good understanding of which of those might meet their needs best. Obviously lots of students will choose to do more than one of them. The RE course is an amazing course where lots of it is focused on the philosophy and ethics. There's this sort of misunderstanding amongst the student body that in some way it's about being religious yourself. Absolutely not the case. It's studying world religions and then applying the philosophy and ethics is a big part of the course. Really exciting, opens up lots of opportunities for other subjects post 16 as well. Really great subject to be explored. Health and social care, all of our subjects are popular, but health and social care is popular with students who want to explore roles in the future, whether that is within specifically the health sector, but also some people that are exploring education are interested in it, those sorts of things. And we have lots of students that stay on into the 6th form doing health and social care and go through a more vocational pathway, but again reaching university but through a different route. Psychology and classics are 2 of our new GCSEs that we're offering this year. They've never been offered before at Bewdley. The young people have had a little taster introduction in an assembly, and again they can choose to try those subjects on Friday of this week to find out a bit more about them, obviously, as well as reading the options booklet. The option subjects on this slide are more the creative options, many of which they've come across already or had experience of in the creative options process. The only thing I'd like to draw your attention to here is that fine art and textiles are within the same subject grouping, which means that if they're taken together, then they only count as one GCSE in terms of the school dynamic, which means that I discourage students from taking both art and textiles. I will make exception for those students who are really, really passionate about it, but you would need to apply in writing to myself to explain why you wanted to do both art and textiles. The same applies with dance and drama. They're within the same subject grouping. So if you were to want to choose both dance and drama, that would be by letter of application to myself. Design technology, really popular subject in the school, as is hospitality and catering. You've already tried those in your creative options, but all of these subjects, there's a taster session on Friday this week where you can have a 20-minute, 25-minute session to find out a little bit more to see if it might suit you.
One of the questions that the young people often ask and parents often ask is, which subjects are easy? Well, there's no simple answer to that, because what's happened is that where there was perceived differences between courses in the past, that is no longer the case. So Ofqual oversee the level of difficulty across the courses to maintain the standards, and what you'll be able to see if you look carefully on this sort of bookcase that they've got here is that it talks about the different levels, and that level 1 is sort of the lower grades at GCSE, the D to G, whereas the level 2 is the what was A star to C, which is 9 to 4. Whereas the level 3, you're moving on into A level, and then level 4 is you know, into degree level territory, and those levels are maintained. And then the JCQ oversee all of the different exam boards to ensure that exam regulations are maintained across the different exam boards. So it doesn't make any difference if it's an AQA exam or a Welsh Board exam. The exam standards remain the same. Okay, one thing I do encourage the students to do is to consider balance in their options. So considering the type of assessment method, is it all examined? Is there a proportion of controlled assessment? Are they doing enough subjects from a breadth in the curriculum? You know, are they making sure that they're not doing too many things that are practical based and not enough things that perhaps are academic? Have they got their interest levels right? And of course, the career requirements. Are they subjects that they need to do in the future? So we're spending quite a bit of time in school talking about what makes a good choice and what makes a bad choice. So things like, you know, every year we hear young people saying, well, I'm picking it because my friend's doing it, or I like the teacher. The teachers may not be the same. You know, especially within subjects where there's many teachers who teach it, it could be completely different member of staff. Somebody else saying that it's easy or they were good at it, particularly parents. You know, we're all guilty of these things, giving our children advice based on our own experiences. I know I'm guilty of that. And teachers doing the same thing. Teachers are often saying to young people, you must do my subject, you know, you'd be great at it. Well, that's lovely to hear, but if it's not one you're interested in, or you're really not passionate about it, it's probably not a good idea. So we're encouraging them to think about those that they're most interested in, the ones that they feel like they're making good progress in, the ones that they're enjoying. Balance in their options. So as I've said, something practical, whereas something that's, you know, very academic. Have you got a bit of balance in your choices, helping them in their career? And of course, whether the assessment structure would suit you. You know, if more ongoing assessment is going to work well for you, then some of the BTEC courses or the vocational courses might be a good choice. So in school, they've got lots of support, and we've been advising them who to talk to and how to work out, you know, where to go next. But the responsibility does begin to lie with them. They have to do the research, and we're very much encouraging ownership of these choices. once they've made these decisions, it's the first time that they've had any control over what they study in school and what they learn about. So really must be their research and their hard work. Mrs Edwards is available in school. She's our careers advisor. I've put her email on there. Parents, feel free, please contact her to ask any questions that you might have. And over the next few weeks, they have got to ask lots of questions, and I'd expect them to talk to you lots. Obviously, the phone call from the tutor will really help and will give you opportunity to ask any questions of the school that you might.
Okay, in terms of making choices, you need to pick 4 option subjects from the list of 20. You list them in order of preference, but I'd ask that you put an EBAC subject as the first choice. So the EBAC subject that you like the most, put that as choice number 1. That's so that it's really easy to check that everybody has made that selection. And then after you've made your 4 choices, including the EBAC one, you'll add an additional reserve choice. So that's a subject that you're happy to study, but it's just not in your top 4. Obviously, making sure that everybody gets all of their choices is really, really tricky as a school. We try exceptionally hard to ensure that that's the case, but not everybody will get all of their choices. The vast majority, however, will. It means that the 5 subjects you pick must be ones you're happy to study, and at least the first one must be an EBAC subject. The computer package creates a best fit model to ensure that the biggest proportion of our students get their preferences. But inevitably there'll be circumstances where a subject is oversubscribed, or it simply is an impossibility with the way that the option blocks are generated. Where that happens, then we'll consider the order of preference that's been put down, and obviously attendance, progress and attitude to learning in those subjects. Students complete their choices by using Sims Online. Instructions are in the booklet that they've come home with. If you do have any problems with that process, if you make contact with Mrs Phillips at kph@bewdley.worcester.sch.uk, she'll be more than able to help you get through that process and enter the options choices that they want. There's no benefit in submitting them early. It's not a race. They just need to be submitted before the deadline. I'm sure many students and parents will have specific questions that they'd like to ask about. I'd really encourage you to talk to Mrs Evans, the head of year, Mr Willis if it's a particular SEND issue, or Mrs Bodman, and Mrs Edwards for any specific careers inquiries. Please do contact them at school should you need any further support. So finally, just returning to the process, the deadline for entering the options online form is Friday the 3rd of December. It's 9 o'clock, the deadline for doing that. It really is advantageous to make sure that it's done by that point in time. If students do complete the choices late, then unfortunately, once the computer has modelled, the best fit for students, theirs would not have been taken into account in that process. So please do make sure that they're done on time. But as I've said previously, there's no need to rush. In fact, I would encourage you to wait until after the online parents' evening on Tuesday, the 30th of November, when then you can talk to your son or daughter about the process, about the choices that they're thinking of making, factoring in how the teachers feel that they're doing in those subjects once you've had that feedback at parents' evening. Please do contact me if you've got any specific questions. My email address is at the start of the presentation. It's just cmc@ and the usual ending. Thank you very much for giving me your time.